Big stories breaking right now, and we are moving fast to bring you the latest. First, we are tracking a major crisis in Wood County, where up to $1 million in damage has forced officials to confront a difficult long-term decision regarding the future of a local school. This is a developing situation that has community leaders scrambling to figure out what comes next for their students and facilities.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 milliamp hour power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Next, a massive financial scandal is unfolding in Seattle as city leaders consider their next steps following a shocking audit of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. Investigators found $13 million in public funds completely unaccounted for, sparking calls from council members to dismantle the agency entirely, while the mayor and other officials weigh how to restore accountability to the system. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott is signaling a breakthrough in a high-stakes standoff over Houston police funding. After a week of political friction, $114 million in frozen money could be back on the table, provided the Houston Police Department satisfies new terms regarding a controversial city ordinance on federal immigration cooperation. Finally, outdoor enthusiasts in Washington are facing a tough reality as the Department of Natural Resources shuts down campgrounds due to an $8 million budget shortfall. Commissioner of Public Lands Dave Upthegrove says these cuts are forcing the agency to limit access even as demand for public lands hits record highs. Make sure you are in the know by clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss a headline. Imagine waking up to news that your local school, the very heartbeat of your community, has suffered $1 million in damages overnight. That is exactly the reality facing Wood County today, and it is a gut-wrenching situation that forces us to look past the broken glass and debris. When a disaster of this scale hits, it is not just about the repair bill. It is about the long-term survival of the institution. Administrators are now at a critical crossroads, forced to make a decision that will ripple through the lives of students and families for years to come. Is it worth pouring massive resources into restoration, or is it time to envision an entirely new future? This isn't just a construction problem. It is an identity crisis for the entire district. We are keeping a close eye on the school board as they weigh the costs against the community's needs, so make sure you are subscribed to stay updated on what happens next. After all, the walls of a school can be rebuilt, but the spirit of a community is what keeps the doors open. Imagine pouring $13 million of taxpayer money into a solution for the homelessness crisis, only to find that the money has essentially vanished into thin air. That is the jaw-dropping reality facing Seattle right now after a scathing forensic audit of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. It is not just a rounding error. We are talking about massive operational failures and millions in unaccounted funds that were supposed to be helping the city's most vulnerable. The agency was built to be the powerhouse solution for coordination between the city and the county, but instead, it has become a case study in mismanagement. We are looking at a negative cash position of nearly $45 million as of last July, and a total lack of internal controls that would make any accountant break out in a cold sweat. It is no wonder Council member Maritza Rivera is demanding the whole thing be dismantled. Her outrage is palpable, and frankly, it is shared by a public tired of seeing big promises met with even bigger fiscal holes. Mayor Katie Wilson and other local leaders are now at a critical crossroads. Do they salvage this sinking ship with stricter oversight, or do they hit the reset button entirely? Council member Bob Kettle has emphasized that while we need a unified, regional approach to the crisis, that approach is useless without transparency and actual accountability. You can have all the compassion in the world, but if your financial house is burning down, the people on the streets aren't the ones getting the help they were promised. King County Executive Gurmay Zahale is calling for corrective action, but for many, the damage is already done. As the city weighs its next move, one thing is crystal clear. The status quo is dead. We need to demand more than just buzzwords from our public agencies. We need hard numbers and real results. If you want to keep up with how Seattle navigates this fallout, hit that subscribe button below and join the conversation. After all, if we can't trust the institutions managing our tax dollars, who can we actually count on to solve the problems that impact us all? Imagine $114 million hanging in the balance, caught in a high-stakes tug-of-war between state power and city policy. That is exactly where Houston finds itself right now, as a bitter standoff over immigration enforcement finally shows signs of cooling down. Greg Abbott has hinted that those millions, which were frozen in a heated dispute, could soon be back in the hands of the Houston Police Department. But there is a catch. The city has to play by the state's rules. At the heart of the storm is a controversial ordinance governing how local cops interact with federal immigration authorities. The major sticking point: how long an officer has to wait for ICE to show up and serve a warrant. After weeks of back and forth and a fair amount of public confusion, the city tweaked the language to remove a rigid 30-minute waiting requirement. Governor Abbott is calling this a step in the right direction, but he is not signing the check just yet. He insists that the Houston Police Department still needs to formally sign off on the terms before a single cent is released. While the governor's office says they are in constant communication with HPD, the mood at City Hall is a bit more cynical. During a recent council meeting, members pointed out that the supposedly revised ordinance looks suspiciously identical to the one that caused the drama in the first place. Council member Edward Pollard didn't mince words, calling the whole ordeal a circus that put Houstonians through an unnecessary emotional roller coaster. It leaves you wondering, was this ever really about policy or just political theater? Despite the skepticism, the Houston police officers' union sounds optimistic, suggesting a resolution could be reached by the weekend. They claim officers now have the clear guidance they need to handle these interactions without the fear of legal limbo. Whether this change actually alters the reality on the ground or is just a cosmetic fix to appease state leaders remains to be seen. If the funding does return, it will be a major relief for the department, but it won't erase the questions about how local policing and immigration policy should intersect. What do you think? Is this a necessary correction or just more politics as usual? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with the stories that shape our city. Planning a camping trip in Washington this year? You might want to double-check your destination before you pack the tent. Washington's Department of Natural Resources just dropped a bombshell, announcing that 4 major campgrounds are being shuttered for the entire 2026 season. We are talking about spots like Anderson Lake, Rock Lakes, and Upper Clearwater, officially off-limits. It is a tough pill to swallow, especially when you consider that these closures aren't just about money. They are about a system under massive strain. The agency is citing a staggering $8 million in budget cuts over the last 2 years, including a 20% slash to their recreation program back in 2025. Commissioner of Public Lands Dave Upthegrove didn't mince words, calling these cuts a step in the wrong direction. And when you look at the numbers, it is easy to see why. The DNR is trying to manage their vast lands with a skeleton crew, just 60 field staff to cover the entire state. That is effectively 1 person for every 21 miles of trail. Think about that for a second. We have 20 million people heading out to enjoy these public lands every year, yet the resources to keep them safe and accessible are shrinking. Even the parks that remain open are going to feel the pinch. Expect messier trails, unstocked bathrooms, and more litter as maintenance budgets hit the floor. Governor Bob Ferguson's final budget might have been less severe than the initial chopping block, but the reality on the ground remains grim. We are reaching a point where our public lands are becoming victims of their own popularity, and without proper funding, the great outdoors is going to feel a lot less welcoming. Have you noticed the decline in park maintenance in your area? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you can stay in the loop on how these changes affect your favorite weekend getaways. At the end of the day, if we don't invest in the spaces that give us the most, we might soon find there is nowhere left to escape to.